Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video. And today I want to talk about fan translations and new games that are coming out today. When I say new games, I should probably say new-ish, as these are new translations, like for me in English. And I'm getting to experience a lot of games that I probably would have never played before. Now, when it comes to new modern games, I do enjoy them, but I don't get the feel I had like playing some of the old school games from the PS1, PS2 era. Let's just say 5th and 6th generation eras. And in saying that, I always find myself going back to the old school. So what I want to talk about is this company called Project Retro Games. Now, I've actually talked about them in earlier videos, and what they do are fan translations, and they sell like reproduction games as well. Now, one of the outstanding things about this company is that they actually produce pressed discs. So all their games are pressed disc, which is pretty outstanding. So what I'm going to talk about in this video are some of the products I've gotten over the years and some of their upcoming releases. Also, I want to give a shout out to the modders and translators out there that put these games together. You can play all these games for free, but this video is mostly for people who want to play the physical on their original systems. It's something really special for us playing these games on original hardware. Alright, so let's get into it. Here's Clock Tower First Sphere Translation and Clock Tower Collection. Now, mainly going to talk about Clock Tower First Sphere because it's been translated in English on the PS1. But as you guys know, as I talked about before, that these are pressed discs from Project Retro Games, and you will need a modded system to play them because, as we know, PlayStation wobble detection, nobody really fixed that, so people just overwin it with a mod chip. Now, I feel like Clock Tower is getting a resurgence, especially with the new release coming out pretty soon. But anyways, if you haven't played the Clock Tower series, survival horror game where you play as a girl named Jennifer, her and her friends, they get sent to a new home to live, like this big mansion. But as soon as they get there, things break out and they're being stalked by the Scissor Man. And what's crazy about this game is that you can't fight back, you can only run and hide. The friends you start the game with are dealing with the same situation you are. But it's crazy because in this game, if you stand around too long, randomly Scissor Man will come after you. You'll hear those scissors clasping together, and you got to get out of there. So it's very tense, I would say, and you're trying to solve the mystery of what's going on, and you're trying to get the heck out of there. Definitely check out this game if you haven't played it yet, guys. It's an awesome game. I think it's the best Clock Tower out there. But actually, I like the sequel better, which is known as Clock Tower in America on the PlayStation, which is actually Clock Tower 2. But yeah, it gets all crazy. But anyways, definitely a game that's worth checking out if you like survival horror games. Here's Lunar Silver Star and Lunar Eternal Blue for the Sega CD. These are the uncut versions by Project Retro Games. And as you can see, these are pressed discs. Now, the difference between these, and I don't want to go over everything, but the missing cutscenes that were from the original American version and the original balanced difficulty. For some reason, Working Designs, when they did games, they wanted to make them harder, and like in doing so, it would just kind of make the games just like annoying. Like one of the games was Elemental Gearbolt. Like I remember that game was like the American version was way too hard than it should have been. But anyways, going back to these games, you haven't played the Lunar games. Awesome story. Great to play them on a Sega CD, especially finally uncensored and unmessed with. This is the way it should have been, with of course the Working Designs, English voice acting, and dialogue. Here is Fantastic Night Dreams Cotton. This is the original game translated in English for the PlayStation system. Now, if you haven't played Cotton, this is a horizontal shooter, which I guess you would call more of a cute-em-up type game. But as you can see, this long box version has a English manual, which looks outstanding. Excellent job from Project Retro Games on that. Very impressed. And also, you guys know about the pressed discs they make. But going into the gameplay, I would say this is definitely a good beginner game for people to get into who like shoot 'em ups, you know. And another thing too, I mean, the game's translated in English, so you can follow the story. Now, I know a lot of people, I always say this, I know a lot of people don't care about story, but I do. And the story is actually pretty funny, so I think a lot of people will enjoy it. Also, for you guys that don't know, Cotton Reboot, which came out a couple years ago, was a remake of this game. So they tried to bring it to a newer audience. But if you want to play the original, definitely try this one out. You won't be let down. Here's Demolition Man. This is the movie edition, which has the soundtrack for the movie on the game. I guess the original game didn't have to really have the movie soundtrack, so that really kind of changes a lot of things up, man, especially the feel when you play this game. But just want to show you the game obviously is a press disc. You obviously get a manual, and you guys know how Project Retro Games does it. Press games, manuals, all that stuff. Now, as far as the game itself, it is an action platform game, and it follows the movie storyline I think pretty well. It even has a FM cutscenes, the grainy ones that you guys probably remember from back in the day. But the game does switches to a top-down action part, so it switches it up between the action so it doesn't get like tiresome. One thing that stuck out to me with this movie back in the day is Wesley Snipes' hair. I cannot believe that blonde hair looks so bad to me. It looks even worse now. But that's my motivation for playing this game. Gotta take out Wesley Snipes because that hairdo is terrible. But anyways, guys, Demolition Man, definitely a game you want to add on your radar. Now here is Castlevania Sympathy of the Night collection. Now this was a total surprise. I had no idea he was putting this together. And now I gotta show you everything that comes with this because there is a lot of stuff. I was really shocked with what this came with. But this version of Castlevania is the Japanese version with English subtitles. I think a lot of people prefer the Japanese voice acting, so that's why this was put together. Alright, so here's some maps for the game. That's a poster right here. And right here, got a little registration card. That's pretty cool. Little nice touch there. And here is a map of the castle. That is always handy to have for a game like this because you actually create the map as you walk through the game. If you guys remember that back in the day. Here's some cards of the characters. You got Alucard there. Then we got Richter, which is my favorite Belmont. And of course, Lord Dracula. Then here is an artwork book. So yeah, that's pretty cool to have. Definitely some cool art with this series. There we go. Richter, Maria, Alucard, the Librarian, Alucard's mom, Succubus. And I believe this right here is a more dedicated manual than the one that comes with it. So you have another manual for this, which is pretty cool. Yeah, lots of detail in here, so definitely pretty impressive stuff so far. And here's a script card telling us about the changes made in this version of the game and why. And then of course, here is the soundtrack for the game. I'm not going to open this up right now, but it's always nice to have a good soundtrack. And here's the game itself. Just want to remind everybody that in order to play these games, well, at least the PlayStation and Saturn games that you get from Project Retro Games, you have to have a modded system or some kind of device that will help you like bypass the security. And here is everything all spread out. This is still available on Project Retro Games. Before you guys head over there, which I'll have links in the description, we still got some more stuff from Project Retro Games. Here's a Smurfs collection for Sega CD and the Sega Genesis. Now, the owner of Project Retro Games has been going crazy about putting this out for a while now. And now it's finally here. Some of you guys may have saw this in Hancock's video too, because he got one as well. So the Smurfs are platform games. This is Genesis version, part 2, exclusive to that system, I believe. This collection also came with a map of the Smurfs world, Smurftacular. But anyways, pretty cool. I used to like the Smurfs back in the day. I haven't seen them in years, but man, the thing they made a game from is pretty crazy. But here's the Sega CD one. This is the one I'm looking forward to playing because I like that Q sound. And I believe the Sega CD version has FM cutscenes. So yeah, you have those to look forward to. Now, a closer look at the Genesis version, which is Smurfs Part 2. Like I said, I think this one is exclusive to the Genesis. But to be honest with you guys, the only reason I'm pumped up about these games is because the owner of Project Retro Games was really excited about these games, and he kept telling me that they are must-play. So we'll see if he's right. But here is a look at some of the gameplay. The game actually looks pretty cool. You know, I could see myself playing this on the Sega CD back in the day. I guess what I should be asking is, does anybody even remember the Smurfs? You know, I remember catching them every Saturday morning back in the day. But yeah, you never really hear anybody talking about the Smurfs these days. You know, I feel like they're forgotten about. But maybe we could bring back a resurgence with this game. Here is Mizzurna Falls. This is an open world 3D game that didn't come out for English PlayStation back in the day, but the game finally got translated, and of course, Project Retro Games made it happen for us. So going into a little of the story of this game, the game takes place on Christmas Day. It's snowing, everyone's enjoying the day until they found out about a girl who got attacked in the forest, and that's where the game picks up at. Now, this game is a murder mystery, so I won't give you details on who gets murdered, but the game has a timer. You have 7 days to complete the game, and 1 hour in game is like 5 minutes in real time. So basically, you can't play the game recklessly unless you don't care what kind of ending you get. The time gimmick reminds me of how Shenmue works. But this is one of those games that would have been great if it had came out to America back in the day. I know the studio that made it, the same people who make Clock Tower series, Human Entertainment, they folded like around the time this game's release. So unfortunately, we didn't get an American release back in the day. But I think it would have did pretty well. But hey, better late than never. Now here is Gran Turismo 2 Plus Edition. Now this, from what I was told, has extra cars and extra modes that weren't included in the original game. It's kind of like, I guess you would say, a director's cut of the game. Kind of like what people think the game should have been. So I've never been a Gran Turismo person, but people have told me that Part 2 is the one that kind of like got them into the series. So I figured, like, if I want to get into the series, I'm going to start with the old school Part 2. But you guys let me know what you guys think about the Gran Turismo series. Alright, so here is Alundra Unworking Designs Edition. Now, this collector's edition comes with 3 maps. You can see the slipcover case, which is pretty badass. You got 2 art cards here, some really nice art from the game. Here is a art book showing like a lot of characters in the game. Here's 2 postcards, which I thought was pretty cool to see. And of course, you get the soundtrack, which this game has outstanding music. Here's a thick instruction booklet. You guys know I like those. And then here is the game. Now, what's unworked in this game, I can't remember everything, but pretty much they made the game harder for America. So a lot of changes were unnecessary. So these fixes like take that away and make the game a lot more playable. I remember this game being very difficult when I played it years ago, and sometimes it was way too hard. Like, enemy stats were weird. But I did end up beating the game and enjoying it. But I felt like if I played this version of the game, I would have enjoyed it a lot better and just had more of a rememberable experience with this game. Here's NBA Jam 2K22. Yes, an updated version of NBA Jam that has most of the current stars, I would say, up until 22 at least. I know we're in 2024, but still, to have this NBA Jam game out for us, man, just really means a lot because I love this series back in the day. As you could guess, this version has a lot of the classic characters and newer stars in the NBA. And just overall, they just really did a good job putting this together. Definitely a must-have for people who love NBA Jam. Now, of course, we have Resident Evil 0 for the PS1. This is still in stock, folks, and I don't want you guys to miss out on a physical release of this. The modder that put this game together actually did an outstanding job. I believe they used the Resident Evil 2 engine, which a lot of us are kind of familiar with, but definitely something very impressive here. So let's take a look at some gameplay. Here's Policenauts, English translation. Policenauts, also known as police cops. No, I'm just kidding. But this is one of Hideo Kojima's visual novels that was really popular back in the day, but it never got an English translation until a few years ago. So I'm looking forward to playing this. I think you can use the light gun on it as well, or the mouse at least. I know the Saturn version is supposed to be superior. That got an English translation as well, a fan translation, I should say. Now here's a closer look at the case. As you guys can see, it comes with 2 discs. There's a lot of data on here, or just enough for the Sega CD. But look how cool that looks, man. Like, very impressive. And of course, you got the manual, which is very well done. Totally happy with this purchase. But for those of you that have played this game and possibly beaten it, you know, let me know what I'm getting into. Is it worth the time? I think it is, but I just want to hear it from somebody else.
感触はあったな。言えない。早く行け。
Alright guys, so that's a look at some of the stuff I have from them. They got a lot of upcoming projects that I think you guys will like, you know. I do want to kind of head over more to the cartridge-based stuff right now because I don't have any of that stuff really. But they are starting to do a Super Nintendo and possibly some Genesis games in the future. I'm not really sure yet. It's a one-man team, just to let everybody know. Like, one guy is putting all this together, so just remember that. Also, too, some of this stuff may be low quantities right now, so he might almost be out of stock. So you might want to order some of this pretty fast. But now let's take a look at some of the Super Nintendo games they're going to be doing in the future. First game here is Star Ocean. This will be a complete in-box game with manual and stickers, and he's also doing a collector's edition statue, which I don't have pictures of right now, but if you haven't played the Star Ocean series, they are action RPGs that deal with space travel and dealing with like different planet lives. Some games deal with going back in time or even alternate dimensions of the same world, which is pretty cool. Here's Ghost Chaser for Super Nintendo. This is a beat 'em up that I believe, like from what I played of it, this game should have been released in America as well, but better late than never. He'll also be putting this out, and I'm not sure if it's going to get an English translation. I'll have to ask more about that in the future, but still, a lot of you guys don't play beat 'em ups for the story, you play for the action, and this is definitely one of the top tier beat 'em up games for the Super Nintendo. And finally, Hyper Area. I actually have the anime of this game. And man, it's a pretty unique anime, and I think the game is pretty cool too. It's a mix of a platform action game and a shoot 'em up at certain points. When you're going to your next destination, you kind of play the game as a shoot 'em up. It's a very fun, interesting game that I think is a good choice to have a physical copy from Project Retro Games. Alright guys, so I'm going to leave it there. Definitely check out their Instagram. I'll have links of their store and Instagram in the description. And yeah, let them know I sent you there. Maybe they'll hook me up with some kind of bonus or discount. Anyways guys, that's all I got for you. Radical Reggie, and I will see you all later.